Hey, hello to all. This is Alejandro Bratti from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Single TV channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Single TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. I am really happy and honored to have my good friend Margaret Marquez. Welcome, Michelle. This is really, really cool to be here with you again. We had a program a few months ago, and now something is happening. Tell us a little bit, and then we are going to go back to your life and start to check some things.
Alejandro, thank you so much. Mindset Mastery Summit is coming around again next week. I can't even believe it, actually. It seems so fast. 27th of October until the 31st of October. 40 incredible speakers, including Alejandro. Every aspect of mindset that you have to change, that you want to up level, that you want to obliterate, whatever it is that you want to do with it, we cover it. Limiting beliefs, business, everything. It's absolutely awesome. So please join.
So we are putting here the link. It's bit.ly/mindset_oct. Mindset and October, that's the oct. And you can join there. It's free. So really, I believe this is really powerful. And we believe that really mindset is one of the most important things that we need to do. Like maybe, I don't know, how much do you think, like between 95% of everything that happens in our lives depends on our mindset? The other 5%.
I would say at least 95, yeah. Although there are some people who think mindset isn't a lot to do with anything, but I don't know.
No, not really. For me, we are going to be talking during the program today a lot about mindset, a lot about what you are doing, Michelle, what I am doing, why we believe this is important. And Michelle, if I start to tell you, when I started my entrepreneurship, I started like helping people with the area of business, like how to improve your business and what are all the strategies that you can implement to improve your business. But I started to realize that some people were like, I can be good, and they have very good results, and other people didn't have them. And the reason was mindset, what they believe they can do. It was nothing else. It was not like the strategy is better or worse for different people, but it was really the mindset that they had. So even in my program, I changed everything to start with mindset. And then when you have the mindset right, you can start to study the different strategies and everything. So for me, mindset is really important, and it can change everything in your life or stop everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's like when we talk about the keys for success, isn't it, Alejandro? There is no one set of keys to success that works for every single individual, because as you just said, every single one of those people have different experiences, have different mindsets. So you absolutely have to get to the core of what is their mindset right now and where it needs to be in order for them to get to where they want to go.
Yeah. So let's use this time, this 50 minutes that we have in this program, to be working with you. If anybody is connected right now with us, and you want to ask some questions, you have any questions about anything, just let us know. We are more than happy to be connecting with you and talking with you. But first, let's start Michelle, with from where are you coming? Who is Michelle? How you started with everything that you are doing now, but who you were before you believe in yourself, and how you started to work in your mindset to really start to change everything.
Sure. Well, I come from a very small town in Glasgow, in Scotland, and it's not the kind of area that really was focused on success, and not the kind of success that I wanted to actually achieve anyway. So I was surrounded by a lot of people that were telling me, "Oh no, you can't do the kinds of things that you want to do, right? You should just get a job, settle down." For me personally, I knew that there was something more inside of me. I wanted something bigger. So I never let go of that. And I really encourage you, no matter who's around you, who's telling you whatever, that's more about their capacity of where they're at with their own mindset than it is about you. You have this dream for a reason. So I knew that I had these dreams for a reason. So I kept going and I started working on personal development. And yeah, it was a long, hard road. It's a lot of that, trying different strategies, trying different success keys, trying different people's, like, to follow other people's things that they were doing, until I actually started really working on me and really breaking through my mindset blocks, And when I started to do that and really get to know myself and really understand what my potential was and also get very clear on my dream as well, because you can't really chase after something unless you're very, very clear on what you want. Otherwise, you're just trying a bit of this, a bit of that, which is what I was doing, right? Until I actually got very clear on me, who I am, and started to really work on that from a very intentional focus point, right? And then I make it sound very simple, guys, but it really is. Once you start to get that knowledge of yourself and what's in of you and the answers on the things that are blocking you, the whole world actually just opens. It's almost like the sky is bluer and the trees are greener, right? It really does make the world of difference.
Let me ask you maybe something more vulnerable that you already had in the past, like how was, like, any experience that you want to share that was like really difficult for you, that you at the beginning you were like just living or just passing without really living, and things that you are started to do, and how was that, even that process? Sometimes I know that mindset changes everything, but when you are in that situation on that problem, you don't see anything. It's like you are
Yeah.
like blind and you can see anything. So I want to hear a little bit in your story some of the things that were really affecting you, and how it was for you, like how difficult it was, and then all the things that you needed to do, and how much time even it took for you to really change and start to see like the sun, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Alejandro, and it's a quite a complex question for me to answer, to be fair, because there's a lot of those situations. This book here, Rebel Woman, is full of those type of situations, right? I had a tough, background. I come from a tough background. I was sexually abused at the age of 10. And from there, I went through very difficult periods of time in my life where I was in unhealthy relationships, where I was, just sometimes felt like I was fighting for my life. And I would say probably one of the lowest points of my life was when I ended up in prison. And I for only a short amount of time, 10 weeks in fact, but I was still there, and I went through a very, very difficult time while I was in there. I was attacked and all kinds of stuff that went on because I was deemed as different to everybody else, and of course for most of the people in there I was very different. But what happened while I was in there was that I ended up in a cell with a young woman who had been put in there for working illegally, she was in the UK, and she had been caught working illegally. And she had come from a very, very difficult background, much more difficult than anything I had gone through. She had made her way from Africa, gone through the most terrible, heinous things that we won't talk about here today, but you can use your imagination on that. And she couldn't out because English wasn't her first language and she couldn't fill the paperwork out and she didn't know how to deal with the system. I actually studied law at university, and so I helped her. I filled out all the appeal paperwork for her and I read all of her case and everything like that. And the reason I say this stuff was heinous was because I had to read it all, right, to go through this. And I got her appeal, and a couple of months later, after I had left, she actually did get out and went home. But she wasn't the only one. I ended up helping quite a few of the women that were on my wing, my block, if you like. Very similar situations where they were struggling to deal with appeals or they were struggling to deal with certain aspects and whatever else. So I really truly believe that not only was that the turning point for me in my life where I realized, hey, like the way I'm trying to firefight and trying to deal with my life isn't working, right? But it also was the point where I realized I was really meant on this planet to help other people. I've always mentored young people, and I've always done certain things in my community, and I've always been very active that way. But that's the point that made me realize that actually that's what I'm here for, right? And I really truly believe that I ended up in prison for that reason, not only to make me realize what my life purpose was, but to help those women that wouldn't have gotten that help otherwise, right? So from there on, I made it my absolute mission to work on my own love. And when I started to love myself and accept myself and really truly see the dark and light and all the edges in my life and my background and let go of my past experiences, another really crucial point, let go of those past traumas and those past hurts. That was when things really started to change around for me. And now I have a life that I absolutely completely adore. I work with people that I love. I help thousands of people with their mindset. And yeah, it's just changed my entire life.
Okay, and for me, thank you for sharing this, because I know that even when when it's a difficult thing, it's something that you already passed. So, because I know that sadly there is a lot of women that have those type of problems, a lot. Uh, so tell me a little bit of how you felt, and what and how much time it took from you to from the 10 years to really start to see like I have to do something about it. Like I have to start to work in myself, because I am not this other woman that was created to survive that episode, that was this sexual abuse that was really really bad for you.
Yeah,
So because really this is something that sadly is happening to a lot of women, not only a couple but a lot.
yeah.
uh, and that can change completely your life, and suddenly you create like another phase that you want to, this is the other person, and that's why you don't like a lot of things. So how was it for you before you started to do something, and how
That
was the
that
process
trauma
of healing?
that trauma stays with people for a very, very long time. It's almost as if it's seeped into your DNA, right? There's a lot there subconsciously that we don't always recognize on a daily basis. And actually, when I started out first coaching, built on. So to answer your question, for me, I had been working on myself for a long time. It took me a long time to actually get over that. I would work myself and I would get to where I would feel better and think everything was okay. And this is normal for all human beings. When you feel better, you kind of start doing something, right? You think, oh, that's great, I'm better. And then of course it comes back up again. It will keep coming back up until you really truly deal with it head on. And that's what I had to do. And that was part of part of writing this book. But really, the breakthrough for me was when I started to work one-on-one with a coach. I'd done counseling before, I had done therapy, I'd done all of these things before. I'd gone to personal development events, Tony Robbins, Walked on Fire, all of those things. And I'm not saying none of it worked. It was chipping away at this bigger thing that I really hadn't dealt with properly. It was the point when I started coaching on one-on-one and that person really truly understood me, that I started to get the answers from myself of what I needed to let go of and where I needed to change my mindset and where I needed to change the standards in my life.
I believe this is really powerful because from the past, if you can do like a comparison of the Michelle before and the Michelle after, you started to realize who you really are, and you are not that situation, and you are worthy of other things, because that's one of the things that you start to lose. Like, okay, you feel that you're not worthy, or what were other things that you started to feel like, okay, I don't know, maybe not even not feeling even like a woman, or what were the things that you were feeling when that happened, and even the next years, and now that you can see even from another person, like, okay, I know that situation for me was really to start to help this other woman and start to help others.
Yeah, for a long time, Alejandro, I didn't recognize it at the time, but looking back now, for a long, long time, I didn't feel important to anyone. I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel like I was lovable. That's actually, females have that core shadow belief more than men. We're not lovable, we're not worthy, we're not good enough, and it all comes from past traumas. And for a long, long time, kind of just kept squashing that down and getting on. And people would say, oh, but you're a really confident, happy person. And I was on the outside. I absolutely, definitely was on the outside. I ran a business. I would get up on stage and speak and, to the world, wow, she's doing, but for me, I was in struggle, and it was a constant front. It was a pretend front all the time, the smile. Oh, everything's great. And I would just get on with my life. And then, of course, at the end of the day, be exhausted and drained and emotionally broken, right? And that's no way to live. You confront all your, people say, be it until you become it, and all this BS. I would say, because you really truly don't start living, because that's not living, that's existing. As much as the smiles and the standing on stage and the doing all the networking that I used to do, and I was involved in everything, every event and every party and every, everything. But deep down inside, I was still dealing with all of this shame and all of these feelings of not feeling important. And I think that drove me for a very long time to seek validation from everywhere and drive myself almost into the ground. Again, I'll come back to the point when you realize that actually I have to deal with this stuff, and I have to really take a long, hard look at the dark sides of things, and I have to just change this. And that's when you fall deeply in love with yourself, and you are completely worthy. You always were. Your past doesn't define you. That thing that happened with that person that decided to take someone's innocence doesn't define the person that I am, or if I'm lovable, or if I'm worthy. But you can only do that. You can tell yourself that a million times over, and other people can tell you that a million times over. But until you actually work through that trauma and let it go and move on from it, you'll always be in that round of the front is there and you're going through all the motions of life, but not really living in joy and peace and, abundance.
Mm. And this, for me, I remember this last Saturday. I was in an interview with some friends and in a group, and they started to ask me a little bit about how to create your purpose. And what you are talking here, for me, it's very interesting, because from something that is really tough, really difficult, something that is really deep inside, and you had to work for years to really overcome this trauma. You like raise like 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 a butterfly, like changing from being in like inside this being this worm that is just going around
Yeah,
and
a
slowly
phoenix coming
becoming.
out of the ashes, some people would say. I'm a completely different person today. I mean, when you do, let's talk about personal development for a second. When you do work on yourself and you really, truly, intentionally work on yourself, you're a different person. Alejandro, you must know you're a different person from right back all those years. And I look in the mirror, right? I'm not the same person in any, I don't think in any kind of sphere of who I was back then, right? But that's the beauty of that journey, right? That journey that you get to take with yourself. And talking about purpose, I don't think we create our purpose. In that's my experience. Of course, I can only speak from my experience. I think our purpose was always meant to be ours. And I talk about life as difficult as all of the things that we go through. It happens to us, doesn't happen to us. And this might sound a bit strange to some people, but if I hadn't have been through that experience and the other experiences that I've been through in my life, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing today. The people that I get to work with, the causes that I get to be involved in. I support our rescue, underground operation rescue, right? I support them. I support these causes that deal with sex trafficking, that deal with child marriage, that deal with, and I use my platform to be able to support these kinds of causes and to be able to do the projects that I do outside of my business. And again, if I hadn't have had the life experience that I've had, I'm not so sure that I would be as intentional, as passionate, and as felt about those kinds of causes as I am, Sex
Yes.
trafficking, for instance, there's 28.5 million people a year being sex trafficked, and a third of them, those are children.
Wow.
I probably would go about my life like the majority of people, not knowing anything about that if it wasn't something that personally affected me. And
Yeah.
I dare say your purpose has come out of something you've experienced in your life, right?
And that's where I was going exactly, because sometimes the difficult things and the trauma that we have, that we are hiding uh, to everyone, like we don't want anybody to know about that trauma. I am not saying that we have to be vulnerable and saying everybody this is the thing that happened to me, until you heal that trauma. When you heal that trauma and you work on that, and the reason to do it is really, if you don't work it, that becomes your limit.
Yeah.
So the idea is overcome those limits that we have, and that is really working on them and being bold to take action and looking for the people that can help you. Because it's like you were saying, like trying to do it by yourself, maybe you are not going to do it ever, because you are not hearing yourself, what is happening in your mind. You are not hearing what is happening in everything that you have done. And having somebody that you can trust, of course, has to be something that you can trust. and listening to this person and being able to be challenged by this person and start to find what are the nuggets that are stopping you and the limitation that you have in your mind because of those traumas,
Yeah.
then you can start to live. And what I have found a lot of times when I am working with someone is exactly what you experience. When you work on that trauma and you realize and start to heal that trauma, suddenly that trauma becomes your purpose.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's so true. A coach, I happen with my clients again and again and again. When we try and work through and stuff, sorry, there's this little fly flying around my face right now. Oh, now I knocked the book over. When we try and look at our own things, it's very, very difficult for us to, look deep enough inside and really be honest enough with ourselves and give and bring
Yes.
forward the answers that we don't want to look at, right? We don't really want to look at the answers of the dark sides of ourselves and the stuff that we've tried so hard to bury, right?
Yes.
But when you have someone else who, as you say, is trusted and is very, very good at what they do, they will see those things and you cannot hide them. You just simply cannot hide them. And that's the most incredible thing about coaching for me.
Yeah, and we are talking like, okay, sometimes like maybe somebody that is listening to us can say like, okay, yeah, but I don't want to be working on that purpose because that is something very difficult for me and I don't want to be thinking like that. But the reality is that one of the things that I teach, for example, a lot is courage. And the good thing about courage is that the process that you are living, when you start to have courage to even work on those difficult things, is that suddenly you are going to start to feel empowered. And that's
Yes.
exactly what we are talking, and that's exactly what I can see with you. Like, okay, now I see a really empowered Michelle that is ready to do whatever and even try to confront all these sex trafficking and all these type of things that are very dark
Yeah.
energies going around the world, and you are being bold to take action on that and saying everyone, I am working on this and this is part of my purpose and I am going to do it. Why you feel that empowered? It's because you have the courage to work in yourself to do it.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's one of the things that we are talking about mindset is like understanding that those limits that you have there, if you are bold enough to take action to fix those issues, you can become limitless.
Yeah. Truly, truly limitless. I talk about this aspect of it takes 3 seconds of courage. 3 seconds. It's the hardest 3 seconds that you'll ever put yourself into. But it that first 3 seconds, and you just keep taking that next 3 seconds of courage and that next 3 seconds and you're gonna keep doing that all the time and moving forward, and suddenly it's like it suddenly just becomes so much easier.
So one of the things that I want to say, like to everyone that is listening, is really if you have any trauma at the end, sometimes we don't think that this is not a trauma because it's something that happened in the past and I already forgot it and it's time already happened. But the reality is that time doesn't heal those things that you didn't work on them. They stay
It's in
there
our
and
body somewhere. It lives somewhere in our body, and until we address it and we let it go, it's going to be there in some, and it's affecting some parts of your life that you may not even be aware that it's affecting.
yes, exactly. So the idea is to really be bold, find a person. So if Michelle, from that point of view, I know that you're a coach, I am a coach. So if you want to give an idea of what type of coach you need to find if they have some type of trauma like these ones, what is going to be that type of coach that you would recommend for people?
For trauma, the type of coach that you want to be is somebody that practices mindfulness, that practices trauma coaching, that has experience in trauma themselves. I would really truly recommend that, even regardless of what someone's qualifications are or what their expertise is, you want to be working with somebody who's had trauma, who's understood trauma and has come through it for us. Because when I was working with the women who have been sexually abused, I and a lot of women that I still work with, whether we are working on that specific issue or we're working on other aspects, it will come up anyway. And the biggest comment that I have from the women that I work with is that they know that I understand what they've been through. They know that I get them, and I feel or completely understand what they're going through. So for my advice would be, find someone that you know understands you. The qualifications, I would say, don't matter as much, but you want to be with someone that you absolutely feel comfortable with and that you can actually really truly open up with. Because unless you can really truly bare your soul, as we say, then you're still maybe not going to advance as quickly or as far as you want to be advancing with your healing, right?
Yeah, and the other thing that I will say that it's important is to have somebody that you are giving the permission to challenge you.
Yeah.
Because if that coach is only listening but not really challenge your thoughts, at the end is you are not going to heal from there.
Oh, you need to work with a coach that's going to challenge your thinking for sure. You need to work with a coach that is going to, well, you need to hold yourself accountable, but you
Yes.
need to work with a coach who will keep you accountable. For me personally, I don't work with anybody who isn't going to actually put into action the things that we talk about. The exercises I might ask someone to do, or the action steps, whatever that might be. It frustrates me because I truly care about the clients that I work with, and I want them to move forward and to have huge results in their lives. So I don't work with people who don't. And I am the type of coach who does challenge. I love my clients fiercely. Absolutely. Ask any one of my clients, they will tell you that. But I also kick your ass. In most loving, respectful manner. But I'm not going to live an amazing life by. That's not the type of coaching that I do, in the most loving, respectful way. But if you come to work with me, you need to be prepared to work on yourself for sure, because
No,
that's what it takes.
and I agree that that's the reason of being a
Yeah,
coach. If not, at the end is like, okay, hire somebody to, or maybe find a whoever just to listen to you. But really, the
yeah,
idea is to change and to look for changes. Um, so one of the things that I am thinking now is there is a lot of things that we use to hide ourselves that we create even, and at the end we don't know that we are doing that.
yeah,
So I want to talk a little bit, like, for example, if you have to use different faces or different Alejandros, for example, in this case, when I am a different Alejandro when I am at home, and when I am at work, I am another one, and when I am with friends, I am another one. You have to find, maybe there is some trauma that helped you to create this thing. And sometimes I even thought in the past that talking about saying trauma is something too hard, like, okay, I didn't have any trauma. But the reality is that it's a trauma. Is something that affected you in a way that you change, and you start to create some
yeah.
different masks to hide yourself, and start to show a different Alejandro in different situation, depending on what is the situation. So if I see that, I can know that I am hiding something, and there is something inside that maybe I am not aware, but I need some help to find out what is it, and if you are bold enough to take action on that, you are going to be ready to start to be a better version of yourself. So what
Yeah.
other things you relate to that, or you see, Michelle, that can help people to realize, I don't know that if I have a trauma or not, and suddenly, oh, what you are saying, maybe I have something.
The reality is that we've all had some kind of trauma, whether it be as, serious as sexual abuse, or whether it be you were in school and someone made fun of you when you got up to do a spelling bee, or you got up to do a sports activity, or whatever that might be, right? These are traumas that stay with us in some cases, right? For other people, they may get over these things like a lot easier. But for others, there's a trauma. And as you said, if there's something that makes you change any kind of aspect of your personality, of your character, of how you feel, of your energy when in public or when you're at home or wherever that might be, then there's a block that happened somewhere. And most, Ed Milet talks about this a lot. Most of the things that we pick up in life, that we carry with us in life, aren't taught to us, they're caught. It's something that we caught along the way. It's something that we picked up. It's something that happened, insignificant to others as it may be. But we've carried a story about that. And that
Mm,
story makes us not be our whole entire selves. And when
mm,
you start to uncover who that whole big, gorgeous, amazing person is that's underneath all those layers of all of those things, your teacher said this to you, your parents said that to you, this kid said, or whatever it might have been, an accident or a horrible situation that you found yourself in, there's things that you need to clear, and you need, because our body holds on to these things, and you need to clear that system, and you need to find that amazing, incredible person that's underneath that and set them free.
yeah, I love that. So this is a really good example of how you can change your mindset, and that's exactly the reason of this summit that we have started to talk this at the beginning of the program. So I want to change a little bit of the topic now, Michelle, just to focus a little bit more in the summit. I know that you have like a lot of hours and days and even weeks interviewing the different people that is going to be in that summit. So tell us a little bit of what are the things that we can expect in this summit. What are the learnings that you and the awareness that you started to get from interviewing all these amazing speakers that you will have in the summit?
Oh, I mean, gosh, there's so many months. So months have gone into producing. This is the second of Mindset Mastery Summit now. I really have to say that the most thing that you will get from Mindset Mastery Summit is 40 incredible people willing to come with their heart and share. And these people really truly share. There's no pitching, there's no sales involved. It is absolute fantastic information, raw conversations like this with practical action steps that you can take, with strategies that you can implement into your life. And that's the biggest thing that I encourage, because information is great. You can sit and listen to all 40 of the recordings for free, right? And you can gain all this information. And these people really truly share. They really honestly share stuff that they have even paid coaches thousands of dollars to learn and uncover and implement into their life. And they're giving it to you for free. And I know that this mindset, if you like, this thinking pattern that if something's free, it's not of value. But I really truly encourage you to look at the value, because these people bring their heart and soul to this. and really implement the things. And that's my biggest push. So what we also bring to the summit is implementation pods. We do 4 weeks of implementation pods after the summit to make sure that you implement the things. Don't just learn the stuff like a sponge. I can be like that sometimes too. Oh, I want to learn more. I want to learn. Okay, I got it now because I learned the information. No, you have to implement it. So we do the implementation pods. We do Q&A sessions with some of the speakers. We do kickoff calls. We have live chat while the interviews are being streamed so that you can interact with each other and you can put your questions there and you can give us your aha moments and you can, network with everyone else. It's absolutely amazing. We've really worked hard to make this a unique experience more than anything else. We learned some lessons from the last time that I launched Mindset Mastery Summit, which was in April, and completely changed it this time around. The things that I've learned from these 40 people, including Alejandro, has changed my life. And that's why I'm so passionate about you guys tuning in, learning the stuff, implementing it, and please change your life. Because it really, truly, honestly, it has opened up a whole new world of perspective for me and a whole ton of new relationships and new opportunities as well. And that's what you can also get during Mindset Mastery Summit. We've got Messenger that will let you know about all of the sessions. We've got, like I say, the chats. We've got the implementation pods, the Q&A. We've got workshops. The speakers have given amazing bonuses worth thousands of dollars. Oh my gosh, like I could go on. We could take the rest of this entire interview. I'm so excited about the Mindset Mastery Summit, honestly.
And I really like I can see the passion that you have, and I agree with you. It's really powerful and changing. So just I know that I am one of the speakers there, but just I know that choosing one is difficult. I don't want you to do that, but tell me a little bit of like some of the things that help you change in yourself directly for you. Like, okay, I was interviewing, I was doing some conversation with these speakers without even giving names, just things that you started to realize when you started to talk that you remember now. Like, okay, I realized this thing that I didn't know that was affecting me, or that I started to open my eyes to these things. So we can start to feel even the things that you started to learn from this summit that you're going to be doing.
Yeah, I would say some of the things, I mean, gosh, there's so many topics. Courage. We talk about limiting beliefs. We talk about burnout. We talk about longevity. We talk about your family life, slowing down and making sure what you're working for is actually worth it, right? We talk about exiting your business without actually having to sell it, right? And all of these strategies that you can implement. But for me, the biggest thing from the conversation, intentional in my life. I thought I was being intentional and I thought that I had a completely unstoppable mindset. And as a mindset coach, you would really hope so, but we're all human. And for me, I realized that there was things that I could even be more intentional about and I could implement into my life that made a huge difference. And a lot of that was to do with my morning routine and also the kinds of things that I do in my time, like watching action movies and violence. It was Stephen Scoggins, and I don't mind naming that name, who made me really stop and think about the things that I do outside of my business and the things I do in my personal life. And I realized that actually was affecting my mindset. And it was making me feel less positive and less focused. Although this nice adrenaline hit, and I like to work out who's shot who and who's done what in these kinds of movies, right? Because I like to be stimulated in my mind all the time. But I realized it was actually affecting my mindset and the way that I looked at my perception of certain things in life. So it's all little things like that. Gosh, I could tell you so many things. But one of the most amazing conversations in this Mindset Mastery Summit is Bradley. Now, I don't know if you guys know Bradley, but if you don't, go look him up, the real Bradley, on Instagram. And he is the most straightforward, um, tell it like it is kind of person that I have had the personal pleasure of meeting and talking to. And his talk is, yeah, it is just tell it like it is, implement this stuff in your life and change it. You know, he's come through a lot. He was in a foster home at the age of 2. He went through a difficult background, you know. And again, a lot of these people, they're not just, I don't want you guys to think, oh, these people are all the successful people. So obviously it's easy for them to implement these things into their life. Quite a lot of these speakers have come through really, really difficult times in their life and now are very successful, happy people, you know. Stephen Scoggins, for instance, was sleeping in his friend's truck that he had to borrow because he was homeless. You know, he lost everything and rebuilt his life again. A lot of these people have been through very difficult situations in their lives and they share that with you, vulnerable, the same way that I share my personal background with you, because it really truly is my opinion that in my experience that you can come through a lot of things and you can overcome it and you can create the life that you really truly want to have. You got to put the work in.
Wow. No, I really believe that this can change everybody's life. So we are going to share again the link to anybody that wants to join. It's exactly what it's free. So really the value is huge. You have 40 different stories, 40 different things and people that have gone in different areas.
Yeah.
Um, in my case, I have done a lot of things in different. I continue finding other traumas that I had from my past, or that I keep creating because I don't know until I start to realize, and I continue working in myself. So this is part of life. This is exactly something that excites me a lot, also because understanding those things that are limiting myself. I know that in my case, for example, I had a very successful life, if you can say it, with a lot of things that I have done. Uh, but later finding that I had even that successful life being with trauma, uh, and working on that trauma, start to release yourself, and suddenly it's like, wow, there is a new life, and you start to really live, not only thinking that you are living or just passing the days because you are tired of everything. So really join. There will be different connections, ways. If you don't have time to listen to the 40, you can find ways to listen later. So really, Michelle, thank you for making this available to everyone. We are planning to have maybe another quick call next week to have
Yeah.
any Q&A with anybody that is here. So be looking for that, so we can be telling you a little bit more about this. And really, this is for free and can change your life. So
Yeah.
I can tell you
Will change your life.
anything else, like go ahead and do it, and if you like it, start to change your life. Be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And what we were saying, this is really starting with yourself, and being bold to take action on the things that we don't see. Of course, what you are saying, doing it implementation later is like, okay, you realize something, now you can implement and you can change,
Yeah.
or even look for the different coaches and find like, oh, I like this one. This is
Yeah.
exactly the one that I want to be working with, you can do that. So thank you again, Michelle, for this. We are almost at the end of the program. So do you want to say something to people just to close, to tell them like, okay, whatever you want to say to remember?
Yeah. Yeah, I want you guys to understand that you could still be successful, like Alejandro said. I've experienced success all throughout my life, but I've also gone up and down and gone up and down. And I think that is what you experience before you really truly deal with a lot of the stuff, the baggage that we carry around with us, right? When I really started to deal with it, that's when I saw more. And don't get me wrong, you'll always see a bit of up and down, but I see more up than I see down. But the other thing is, when there are moments of coming, challenges in my life, I can look at them differently, and I can sit and I can see them from a different perspective. And that's the other thing that you get from working on your mindset and working on yourself. You can take a challenging situation and you can make it the way you want it to be. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And really, this is the link. We already put it in the chat also. So if anybody is looking like, I don't know how to enter, how to be there, if you can even listen just one of the 40, it's okay. Just do it,
Yeah.
join, and start to see the value for yourself. Not something that Alejandro or Michelle is
Yeah.
telling you, but really find it for yourself and look for that. And you don't have anything to lose, maybe just a little bit of time, but maybe you are going to gain a different life, and that can change a lot. So thank you again, Michelle, for this. I am really passionate about this also. This is going to change a lot of lives, so this is really, really exciting. So for everyone, this show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. The Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you all. Thank you, Michelle. Bye bye.